Hi, my name is Erikk, and in this video we're going to be talking about Foundation. Foundation is an open source front-end responsive framework for rapidly building a website. I have some other videos on responsive web design, so I'm not going to go too far into exactly what responsive web design is. We'll go over the very basics, but if you want more information on responsive web design, check out some of my other videos. But basically what a responsive website is, or means, is when the browser window changes, the site gracefully adjusts its layout to fit the smaller browser window or the larger one. So you can see that this is the Foundation homepage, foundation.zurb.com, and here's the bigger version. And when I scroll, or when I make my browser window smaller, the site still fits within the browser window. So this is really good for any type of website these days, but especially if you want to target people that are using tablets and cell phones and smartphones. You most likely want to have a responsively designed site. So here's a couple of examples of sites that use Foundation in particular. Foundation not only gives you a responsive layout or a grid, but it also has some other features that are really helpful. So you can get these like nice little drop-down menus. It has a slider control, which is shown here. So it's got little arrows here, so it's changing out the pictures. It's got some other really nice features, but the main one again is just being able to be responsive. So here's an example. You can see the menu goes away at a certain width. You have to click it to see it. The images are actually responsive as well. So even the slider continues to work even though it's at a smaller screen size. And one more site here real quick. Again, it's responsive. So I'm changing my browser window, the layout of this site almost completely changes. But you can see even at a very narrow browser window, so this would be probably what it looks like on a smartphone, like an iPhone or an Android phone, the site still looks really nice. So Foundation makes it really easy to set up sites like this. So it comes with the HTML, the CSS code that you would need. It even comes with, they have several templates out there, which we'll talk about using here in a second, where you can get like the basics of a web design set up, and then you can plug in your assets, your images, your text into it pretty quickly. So Foundation is really simple to use. It's very similar to Bootstrap. Bootstrap is extremely popular. That's another responsive framework. Foundation, the thing I like about Foundation for students is that they make it really easy to get started. They have a bunch of templates that you can use right away. And we'll talk about those here in a second. So to use Foundation, it's pretty simple. You go to foundation.zurb.com, or you do a Google search for Foundation, and you want to go to the download link. On the download page, they give you some options if you want to change like some of the base colors and the grid stuff. You can change those here if you want, and then you can download the customized version that you change up here. I'm just going to use the basic version that it comes with. So I'm going to go to download Foundation CSS, and this will download a zip file to your computer, which will have a couple folders and then a couple files in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy these folders from the zip file, and I've set up a folder on my local machine where I'm going to create this website. So I just called the folder Foundation. So I'm just going to paste these files into this folder. And then in Dreamweaver, I've already set up a new site to point to that Foundation directory on my computer, and we can see that here showing up. Now you don't have to create a brand new site. You could certainly copy these files into a subdirectory of an existing site if you wanted, but I'm just pretending like I'm creating a brand new website and using the Foundation files. So the main file that Foundation comes with is this index.html. And in this index.html, they've kind of given you a very basic page design that is using Foundation. Now, if I was to view this in my browser, which I will do here, you can see that the file is a really basic layout. Probably not something you'd want to use to get started, especially if you're creating like a portfolio site. Certainly, you could use this as the basis of your site, but what I would recommend doing is actually going back to the Foundation website, and if you go to their homepage, and you scroll down a little bit, you'll see this button or link that says Shiny New HTML Templates. Go to Templates. So if you click on that, you'll see a bunch of different templates that the makers of Foundation have created and made available to users. So these are really simple to incorporate into your site. So all you have to do is click the HTML link on any of these layouts that you like. So I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to use this marketing one because I think this is a pretty decent starting layout for a portfolio site. So I'm going to click the HTML link on it, and it gives you a little bit of direction here. It says copy the HTML and paste it between your body tags in the Foundation page. So I'm using Foundation 4, and so all I have to do now is copy this HTML code, and it's quite a bit of code because this template has a lot of stuff going on. And I'm going to keep going down. So I'm going to go to the very end, so I'm going to copy all this code. I'm going to go back to my Dreamweaver index.html page, and like the instructions said, it said to copy everything between the body tag. So I'm going to take what's in here, everything that's between the body tag, and delete it. And then I'm now going to paste that code I just copied. So I'm going to save this file, and then I'm going to preview it in Chrome again. And now I have a pretty nice template website here already set up and ready to go. You can see that it even includes the slider control, so I can click these images and get the slider ready. It has a drop down menu, so it has this menu control which I can go in and now change all these options and add links to all these. And most importantly, it's responsive. So if I change my browser size, you can see that we're getting a very nice responsive site that is adjusting its layout to fit within my browser window. So that's all I had to do. Now if I was, obviously I wouldn't want to use this exact layout, the exact colors for my website or for my portfolio, but what you can do is go into the code here and start changing things however you want. So for example, let's say I go back to here and I say, okay, this top title bar, I want to add this site, the name of my site to it. I don't want to say top bar title. So I'm going to go into the code, and I'm obviously going to go up to the top because that's most likely where the top bar title is at, and here it is. And so I could say Erikk's website. Save that. Go back to Chrome. Voila. So obviously this is very, what I'm showing you here changing is very simple. You'd probably want to go in much more in depth, changing the CSS, the colors, probably some of the font sizes, replacing the images with your own images. It just has another little tip for, if you looked at the CSS of this site, you probably will be overwhelmed. Just for example, so if I'm going into the Foundation and I'm looking at the CSS, I can see that there's a couple pages here, but this one CSS file has 4,000 lines of code in it. So I know that sounds super intimidating, but what you can do is you can use the Google Developer Tools or Firebug and use the inspect option, which will help you figure out how some of these styles are set up or where you need to go to make modifications to your code. So for example, this top bar, I selected it. You can see that it has a background color of 11111, which is the black. So if I want to change this top bar color, I would go into this foundation.css file, go to this line 3040, and then modify this color. Although I would strongly recommend that you don't modify the actual foundation.css file. What I would suggest doing is creating your own custom CSS file. So I'm going to go into here and just say custom. And so now if I want to overwrite that top bar color, I'm just going to copy this so I get the same style. Let's see, I want my top bar to be this, maybe like a darker red color. Okay. And now I have a custom CSS file. I still need to add it to my index.html page, so I'll go back into my index.html page, and I'm going to add that file after the foundation.css file. So I'll go in here and I'll drag it over and I'll check my link and it's correct. So now, because I've put this custom file after the Foundation file, the styles that I've defined in the custom.css file will override anything set in the Foundation file. So if I go back into my web browser and I refresh my page, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that the top bar is red, and it is. Obviously, there still needs to be some adjustments that I need to make, but that gives you an idea of how you can go in here and start making changes to the CSS code without actually having to dive into this 4,000 line CSS file. Also, just as a heads up, if you go to the Foundation website, they do have some docs on kind of like understanding the grid of Foundation, but also understanding some of the features that it has. So if you look under like JavaScript, and so for example, orbit is the name of their slider control. So if you want to try to customize the slider control, or if you have any questions about how it works, you can go into these doc pages and do a little bit of reading about it and see how to make some modifications to it. For the most part, you're probably just going to be switching out the images, which is really simple. You don't have to do anything for that. For example, I'm going to go into here and I'll look for that orbit slider, and here it is, and here's the 3 images that it's pointing to. So if I wanted to use my own images, I would just replace these links with my own links and then give it a custom title, alternate text. So again, I hope this helps you maybe get started on your portfolio design. Again, if you do use these templates, please make sure you make customizations to them. Don't just use the templates and change like the text of it and make it your own. That's not what I'm trying to show you. What I'm trying to show you is that you can use this as a starting off point, a jumping off point for your website or portfolio, because it does give you that responsive feature without you having to do a lot of coding. But at the same time, I want you to make sure that you are making your own changes to it, so you can kind of make it your own and not just have it look like a template site. One more reminder, if you do want to use the templates, it's on their homepage. Scroll down the shiny new HTML templates, and then any of these templates that you want to use, you just click the HTML link, and then like it says, you copy this code between the body tags of your page. So you would take anything that you have between the body tags, delete it, and then replace it with the code of the template. So if you guys have any questions about this, just let me know in the classroom. All right, thank you.